Let's talk about the just transition. So the Scottish government is hugely focused on a just transition. The UK government less so, but I think there is an understanding that we do need to move more jobs away from fossil fuels into a decarbonised economy. What impact do you think that will have on the labour force, and what changes to the labour force do you think that will have on the economy?
I think it's a really important concept, and it's good that people are thinking about it now because, when we started, we were talking about the transition from, manufacturing in the 70s to service-based economy. I mean, I would have called that an unjust transition in the sense that we didn't really do enough to protect the people who lost out from that massive economic change, and those scars can last for generations, as we've seen local communities that have still not really recovered from that. So we definitely don't want to make the same mistake again. So I think it's really good that people are thinking about, clearly this transition, as you say, has to be made. So how do you do it in a way that doesn't leave lots of people behind is a good question to ask. What the answer is harder probably. I mean, I don't think it's as difficult probably as the previous transition to services because, those fossil fuel jobs, I think they are good jobs. They obviously pay very well. Clearly, there's a lot of them in Scotland. But on the positive side, some of the new green technologies lend themselves to being in the same sorts of places, hopefully. So, if you look at Grimsby, for example, always kind of like suffered from the end of the fishing boom, but now has become a kind of centre for wind energy. But there are questions around, how many jobs are some of these technologies going to create? Will they create as many jobs? Wind is interesting because there are jobs created when you build the wind turbines, and there are some maintenance jobs, but it's not as kind of labor intensive as digging coal out of the ground or extracting oil probably. So yeah, so like I think really important to be thinking about it, but I don't know what all of the answers are.
Yeah, and with the just transition, jobs is part of it, but fundamentally under that just transition, it includes this idea of more equality and also a lessened environmental impact. So this is where I think that we've got to look at what people do in their jobs, not just purely for how much money are they earning, but what impact does it have on society, and also what impact does it have on the environment. And that's where I think a just transition is kind of pushing towards. Certainly, the Scottish government are very supportive of this idea. Now, whether or not they have the capacity and the levers to be able to do that, I think is another discussion. But they're certainly aware of that.
So what exactly are they hoping to pull off?
But the Scottish government see a just transition as a way to eliminate fuel poverty, increase the amount of jobs, increase the amount of better jobs, improve the environment. If you're looking for a silver bullet, Sarah, the Scottish government think they've got it in the just transition. And when you read all the strategy papers, it seems like it's the one thing that can transform Scotland. And this is all happening. And this just transition allows Scotland to have a significant improvement in GDP growth, increased GDP, increased throughput, reduced environmental impact, still achieving all of the climate goals, eradicating poverty, making society much more equal. These are all things that the government is saying in Scotland that they can do with the just transition. Now, the two huge issues with that doesn't sound like there's anything that could possibly do that. And how can you do that when you don't have all of the economic levers? And that's a huge issue. So they're kind of giving themselves the responsibility, but they don't really have all of the authority because it's a very positive spin on that.
Yeah, I mean, no one would dispute that all of those are great goals. So yeah, I guess it's about how does the just what actually is the just transition, and how does it achieve all of those very big ambitions all at once. But yeah, I will do some research. It sounds interesting.